In a few weeks, we're going to have Pokémon GO Tour, and with this event, we're going to see the introduction of the two fusion forms of Kyurem. And these are going to be game changers. Much like with the fusion forms of Necrozma, these are set to be some of the most powerful Pokémon that we will ever come across in the game. And I do think that we need to talk about them because with the way that Niantic has it currently set up, one of them is definitely going to stand out compared to the other. Alright, how's it going everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. Alright, so the hype is really real for this year's Pokemon Go Tour, and the reason for that is because Niantic is going to be introducing the two fusion forms of Kyurem. Now, these fusion forms were something that was teased way back in the day because Niantic accidentally released them as part of the PvP rewards, and it was something that they retracted almost immediately. And yeah, at the little bit of time that we had these Pokemon, they were incredibly powerful, but they were not at their fullest potential because they were not finalized in the code. But I will say that now that they are officially coming to Pokemon Go and we have some info regarding how much damage they're going to deal and what movesets they're going to have, we can determine which one of these is going to be the major standout. And yes, there is a major difference between both Black Kyurem and White Kyurem, and one of them is going to be the one that you will want to prioritize. So the way Niantic has it currently set up, it looks like Black Kyurem is going to be the higher DPS Pokemon, and it's going to have a much more powerful charge attack. However, when it comes to White Kyurem, it's going to be more of a pure Ice-type raid attacker. So you're going to have to really pick and choose which one you're going to want to prioritize. When it comes to Black Kyurem, that is going to be the Pokemon that's going to be the better generalist, and it's going to be the Pokemon that you will want to use up against Dragon-type raid bosses. But when it comes to White Kyurem, that is going to be one where it's going to be really powerful against Pokemon that have a double weakness to Ice types. And the reason why I say that is because when it comes to its charge attack and its fast attacks, it does have access to Ice type moves, whereas with Black Kyurem, it only has Dragon type fast attacks. So I really do think that for both of these Pokemon, it's really going to determine on what you have in your collection. If you already have yourself a lot of really good Ice types like Shadow Mamoswine and different things like that, then you will probably want to prioritize Black Kyurem. And the reason why I say that is because when it comes to both of these, Black Kyurem is the immediate standout. As of right now, it has the much more powerful charge attack, and also it does have access to some really powerful fast attacks, which are a Dragon type. So yeah, it's really weird that Niantic has it set up this way because you would think that for both of these Pokemon, they would be really powerful in their own right, but it seems like for what it is right now, Black Kyurem is the one that you should prioritize, regardless if you need yourself a pure Ice type. As I mentioned earlier, the only time you're really ever going to need a pure Ice type is going to be when you're going up against a raid boss that has a double weakness to Ice types, like, for example, Rayquaza. But even in those cases, you're probably going to be better off using Black Kyurem because even though Black Kyurem does not have a pure Ice-type moveset, it's still going to be weak against those Dragon-type fast attacks, and it's going to be doubly weak against that Ice-type charge attack, which is incredibly powerful. I believe it's called Frost Shock, and that move is just, for some reason, miles better than the charge attack that White Kyurem is going to be coming with. Yeah, it's really weird that Niantic has it set up this way. I really do think that what Niantic should do is have it so that both of these Pokemon are equally as powerful, because I think something that really worked with the fusion forms of Necrozma is that both of them have their own cases, and they're both going to be the absolute best Pokemon within those cases. Like, for example, with Dawnwing's Necrozma, you will definitely want to use it against raid bosses that are weak against Psychic types, and it's going to be a really powerful Pokemon for PvP, specifically because of the sheer amount of DPS that it brings. But on the other side, you have Duskmane Necrozma, which is going to be the absolute best Steel type raid attacker in the game, and they follow completely different niches. Like, there's not going to be any crossover between both of the fusion forms of Necrozma. You're going to either use one for Steel type raid damage, or you're going to use one for Ghost type raid damage, and it's going to be very rare that you would ever cross either of those two. But when it comes to the two fusion forms of Kyurem, both of them are essentially different kinds of Ice type raid attackers, and I really do feel like there's going to be a lot of overlap, and because of that, you're going to end up choosing one over the other. And as of right now, it looks like Black Kyurem is going to win out in that comparison. So Yeah, I'm wondering what Niantic could do. I think one thing that they could explore is having a kind of like a double typing for either of these moves. Like you would think with Black Kyurem's charge attack, for example, Frost Shock, like it would have both ice type raid damage as well as electric type raid damage. But I really do not know what they could do. But I really do think they need to come up with something that will differentiate both of these Pokemon instead of just having one be the better option over the other. Because for anyone who is a fan of White Kyurem, they're going to be very disappointed because Black Kyurem is always going to be the most preferred. It's kind of egregious because if you think about the two fusion forms of Necrozma, for example, I think some players will make the argument that Dawnwing's Necrozma is going to be a lot more of a generalist compared to Duskmane Necrozma, but considering just how powerful both of them are in their own right, like, you really need to have both of them. But when it comes to Kyurem, I feel like people are just going to say that you should focus in on trying to get multiples of Black Kyurem as opposed to getting one Black Kyurem and one White Kyurem. I really do not think that's going to be the smart way to go about it because in the future there is a chance that Niantic will buff up White Kyurem to make it on equal level with Black Kyurem. That's definitely a possibility. And you want to be prepared for that by having both a really good Black Kyurem as well as a really good White Kyurem. That's kind of my thinking about it. Like, you kind of want to go about it with the future in mind. I mean, unfortunately, when it comes to both of these Pokemon, you're definitely going to have better options in the future. Like, Mega Rayquaza is still going to be better than both of these as a raid attacker against a Dragon type. And then, of course, you got Shadow Dialga coming later on down the road. That's definitely going to be a super powerful Pokemon. And then, yeah, I do think that for both of these Pokemon, unfortunately, they're not as future-proof compared to the Necrozma fusion forms. So that is another thing that I want Niantic to look into, because considering just how powerful these fusions are supposed to be, you would really hope that for both Black Kyurem and White Kyurem, they would be almost on par with the fusion forms of Necrozma. But as of right now, it doesn't feel that way, even though when it comes to ice types, they might be that way. So yeah, I really hope this is something that Niantic considers, and maybe they'll make some adjustments before we get to GO Tour. Who knows, but as of right now, it's still going to be very much worth it going after these two fusion forms. I think when it comes to Black Kyurem, that is going to be a must-have Pokemon. I guarantee you, it's going to be considered a top 5 Pokemon in the game that's not a Mega Evolution. And even among Mega Evolutions, it's probably going to be a much higher DPS Pokemon compared to some Ice-type Mega Evolutions, so I do think this one is going to be one you will want to invest into. I mean, yeah, Shadow Mamoswine is very much a very powerful Ice-type Glass Cannon, but I do think that for everything that a fusion form will bring for you when it comes to raid battles, you will definitely want to have a really good one in your collection and fully invested into. Like, you will want to spend the Stardust and candies to max it out. And yeah, I am looking forward to both of these Pokemon coming to Pokemon Go. I think it's going to be a really cool time within the game, and I'm really excited about it. And yeah, I would like to know your thoughts regarding these fusion forms down below. Are you super excited for both of these fusions, or are you kind of disappointed that they kind of fall behind compared to Necrozma's fusion forms? I would like to know your opinions. Definitely share them in the comments below, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you ended up enjoying it, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here, and also don't forget that notification bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. Real quick, let me give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You all make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Jinsula channel, the best way you could do that is going to be by joining my Patreon. And if you decide to become a paid Patreon member, I'm going to add you to my Pokemon Go friends list. So that means for stuff like remote raids and the friendship system, if you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. And something I will tell you is that I will always prefer my patrons when it comes to raid invites. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, like you have no interest in joining my Patreon, then at the very least, you could join me on social media. You could just follow me at Jinsula, and I'm on the platforms that you see on the bottom of your screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow, and that's going to be a huge help. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all in the next one.